I was invited to talk about finding meaningful purpose through the virtue of stewardship. And stewardship is one of Greenleaf's sort of 10 tenets that he reflects on. And for me, it probably had the least meaning. So I just wrapped up my Master's of Arts in Servant Leadership in May from Viterbo University. If you're interested in that or the certificate program, ask more about that. I think Dick's got some information on that. But I wanted to talk about my journey and how I came to mine. There's a lot of angst in the world right now, particularly I think with the election. We're so focused on division that I think we're all trying to look for purpose where we can come together. So this is me. I think objectively an incredibly cute baby. I was born on January 5th at 6:24 p.m. at what was then St. Francis Hospital in La Crosse, Wisconsin. And this is my grandfather, Louis Schild, with my grandmother, Rosina. So I am I'm a grandson of a berry farmer who raised a family of 5. And this is kind of his legacy. I did some research on him, and you see here, Louis Schild, West Salem, Wisconsin, was selling strawberry plants. So he raised a family of 5. He was a farmer. They had 10 acres of land. They had a horse named Patsy, who my mom and sisters always fought about who actually owned the horse. This is my mom. I love this picture because she's got that crazy face on it. She still makes today. Her brother, Ron, Louis reside in the back, and then her sisters, Sandy, Bonnie, and Bev. And so he was a farmer. He collected taxes, and he drove school bus, and he raised a family. And I think one of the things that Tom Thibodeau likes to talk about is the importance of farmers in our world and the food that they put on the table and raise for us right now. And I think that connection that we have to food in our environment is so key. The other thing I'll tell you about Louis Schild is on January 7th of 1967, 2 days after I was born, he passed away. So I never met him. But his legacy lives on, Schild. One of the texts I'd refer you to is the Purpose Revolution. So I serve my team as president. I have a team of 15 right now. We do low-income housing development, affordable development. We do some community-based facilities throughout communities in the upper Midwest and Mid-Atlantic. And it's really hard in this environment right now to stay focused on your work because supply chains are broken, interest rates are high. It's hard to find construction workers right now because everybody's aged out. A lot of folks left the industry through the pandemic. And one of the things that our team did is we really tried to focus on who are we serving. And at the end of the day, we decided as a team that what was most important and our guiding star was really focusing on the children. We have a lot of communities that have seen intentional disinvestment, and so really focusing on providing for them and making sure that they have the tools that are necessary or important. One of the quotes from the book, there's a revolution of expectations happening among employees, customers, and investors. Our actions to perpetuate social good are key to leveraging both engagement and loyalty for talent and customers in the age of social good. Employers, your employees want to be connected to something higher, a higher purpose than themselves. And we find right now that purpose, particularly among Gen Z, takes precedent over wages. So if you could provide that purpose and more importantly, connect the dots between what you do and how you do it with serving, you'll have a strong, workforce or future. We've seen the 10 traits that a lot of times we spend a lot of time, this is Greenleaf's again from his work, listening and empathy are something we spend a lot of time in and something I really developed myself. And I spoke on a panel recently with a guy named Todd Mandel who graduated from the MASL program at Viterbo. And for whatever reason, stewardship landed for me in a way that it didn't before. And I look at these particular traits, listening and stewardship, as really being key to driving the others. The important part, when we think about stewardship, we think about the flight attendant who gives you a Coke on the plane, or someone who maybe plants a tree on Arbor Day. I think the important characteristic for me, and one of the things I've given a lot of consideration to, is that you're taking care of something that's not yours. And think about if you borrow the neighbor's lawnmower, are you more apt to take better care of that than your own? I think most of us would say yes. So when I think back to my grandfather, he planted and he provided for his community. That was more important to him than himself. And when we talk about Woody, we hear a lot of stories about selflessness and self-care. And I think, again, for me, in the real estate industry, where it's really easy to be self-focused and assume that your gifts are what's driving things, by their very nature, listening and stewardship are key to other virtues like humility and vulnerability. If we can, I teach a class, we were talking for Black and brown people who want to be in the real estate world, and I share my story, and every year I get really emotional. I'm not going to share that with you now because I don't want to get emotional, but creating that vulnerability creates a real space of trust. And that's where I think we as leaders can really be profound in our impact with the people that we serve. So if you Google, and this isn't quite as prevalent anymore today, but if you Google real estate developers, you see this picture of two middle-aged white guys in hard hats pointing at God knows what, right? And this is sort of, they have a blueprint, and it's somehow their vision that's driving it. And so when I was asked 5 years ago, 6 years ago, to lead a team really creating from nothing to create a team that would be representative of the communities that we serve, it looks like this. Our founder, Mark McDaniel's here with his wife, Mary, but the rest of these folks are my colleagues. So we represent diversity in all kinds of different ways, shapes, or sizes, LGBTQ representation, Black and brown people, Latinx folks. And that's our superpower, because we're not coming at solving problems, which is really what we do in the real estate industry, in a very pointed way. We have a very holistic approach that solves problems that others may not have thought about. Aziz Weeks, who works at our Wilmington, Delaware office, introduced me to Vince, and Vince cut my hair. And there's a thing about white guys getting their haircuts in black barber shops. But Vince spent the time with me and told me about his son, Jojo. And for an hour, as he meticulously cut my hair, I heard the story about how he was a single dad raising his son. And when I left, I sent him some books. I'm on the board of a group, or was on the board of a group called the Madison Reading Project. I sent Jojo some books to Vince so that he could get an early start to see himself represented in the books. And the important part for here is Vince is one of the first folks who's looking to buy some houses that we're building in Wilmington. Single family house, the first time he'll have an approach to home ownership. I'm on the board of a group called Do Good Wisconsin. And again, that whole purpose of stewardship, the most prominent group that we serve, I'm dropping off a carton of school supplies for teachers right now, because teachers, as you probably know, have to come out of their own pockets a lot of times and provide supplies for their schools. And so here's a way that we can have real impact in your community. I'll send you the link too if you want to make donations, because we make donations around the state. I teach, as Deanna had said, at Milwaukee School of Engineering. We're doing a tour. I'm grateful to hear some of the feedback from the students, because some days you don't really notice when you know if you're sinking through to the students. But we're doing a site visit right now. Zawena Cotton is a friend and co-development partner. She bought St. Anthony's Church, or St. Anthony's Apartments next to a church in downtown Milwaukee, serving folks who are coming out of homelessness. I teach a program that Marquette University pioneered 20 years ago. I'm the longest running instructor, mainly for Black and brown people who want to learn about the real estate industry. This is Mayor Sachi Rhodes Conway, who's the mayor of Madison. Some folks from Madison, Musa Jallo. A lot of these folks have become my friends just through that sort of intimacy and commonality that we've built over time. Some more colleagues. We are building next to the arena in downtown Detroit, an area called the District Detroit, with, believe it or not, Olympia Development of Michigan has a real estate development arm. And so we're working in concert with them. We took on 2 properties in Madison that had been in foreclosure receivership from a group out of Chicago that went down. This is what we're faced. One of the Dane County supervisors is on the record as saying sin is the root cause of homelessness. So I think with some of the stewardship opportunities that we have, my wife Chris with a local business owner. Ben is from Tanzania. He closed his store and spent like 2 hours with us just introducing himself and talking about his life and the work that he does. I think it's important for servant leaderships to find their place. So we bought a camper. And when I went to grad school, I actually, this is where I stayed, and Tom Thibodeau likes to joke about how I was the man down by the river. But I find a lot of peace and respite in nature. And I think that same concept of stewardship and care for the earth has a way of serving us when we give back. Tom's not here. This is a quote I really try to live with. I consider myself a steward of a legacy, not my own. Tom's inherited the cause of servant leadership in Viterbo and beyond from the Franciscan Sisters of Perpetual Adoration, who started their sort of Franciscan ministry of serving the community. And so we inherit the reins for a short period of time, and I think that perspective that we have leads to goodwill for more folks. Epilogue to the story of Louis. Last Friday, my mom, you see Uncle Ron here. So Louis' legacy lives on through all of us. That's it. Thank you.